Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand. This is the start of a fresh week. A good weekend for United on the pitch, but there's plenty of talk off it. We start here early Monday morning. I'm bringing you everything up to date from what's happened at weekend. Headlines building into the week, and I'm sure there's going to be much more to come. There's talk about Adrien Rabiot. Rabiot, seriously. Here we go again. There's talk on the possible futures of Garnacho Ahmad, what implications that has for Jadon Sancho. I personally want to talk about that and get your opinions on that as well. That will be at the back end of the show. But like I said, it was a good weekend for United, a good result against Wolves. Top four looking a little bit more secure now. That obviously depends on the result tonight with Leicester and Liverpool. But obviously Monday morning we're always talking about what's happening at the start of the week, what is coming in this week for Manchester United. A little spoiler alert, Adam Talks is back tomorrow. It's on at 2 o'clock. Something a bit special for you tomorrow. Guest appearance from someone who was going to give us a little bit more, or shed a bit more light on the ownership of Manchester United and what's going on with the Takeover talk. So do tune in tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. for Adam Talks. We've got a special show tomorrow as well. But we're starting this week with, some will look at it as positive news, clever news. I think the fact that Adrien Rabiot has been targeted by United in the media, and so everyone says we have been targeting at Rabiot for God knows how many years now. Some people looking at this and going, oh, here we go, budget.com again. This is budget United deals, trying to find a way around this transfer market without spending money. Is this leading into the talk about Manchester United's ownership or new ownership not being anywhere near close by the time that the summer transfer window comes? Business as usual. Where does that leave that comment now with the likes of Rabiot coming in? Where do we go from here? Straight off, I'm putting Rabiot in the similar category of signers like Christian Eriksen. But Eriksen is here to stay. Marcel Sabitzer isn't here to stay. So I'm going to put a poll up straight away for you guys right now. With just a few options looking at this window with the definites that we do know. Obviously, Sabitzer is a United player at the moment, but he's going back on loan. Would you rather keep Sabitzer for 20 million? Would you take Rabiot for a free? Or is neither of that any good for you and you want more from United this summer? The talk has come from Fabrizio Romano. The tweet came out yesterday about Manchester United still being interested in Rabiot. Always been interested in United. United are still interested in Rabiot, whose name has been discussed internally. The player will consider his options at the end of the season. He has a proposal from Juventus, but his dream is to play in the Premier League. That's coming from Rabiot himself. Now, straight away you start thinking, Rabiot to Manchester United, how does that fit? How can we structure that deal? Let's not forget, Manchester United have made a point, and it has been talked about a lot within journalist circles, media circles, that they're looking to put a new sort of wage cap in now. Obviously, David De Gea's new contract has been talked about an awful lot in these terms and how he's going to have to take a cut. Rabiot, and we know who his agent is. We know the baggage that comes with Adrien Rabiot. We did all our research as Manchester United fans over the last 2 years while we've been linked with him. We know it's his mother who's his agent. We know she drives a hard bargain. We know that John Murtough came out of that meeting in Italy last year, basically with his tail between his legs and being told where to go. That deal did not happen because obviously they weren't happy with personal terms. Now we go back to the drawing board again with Rabiot and his representatives, aka his mum. And what's changed? Now he's a free agent. Is he going to drive a harder bargain? Will United succumb to that because there is no transfer fee and they're not paying stupid wages for another player? He's 28 and you look at it and go, age-wise, I can see why, and it's not a bad age, it's a good age. He's in his prime and he's had an all-right season at Juventus, but I want to get into that there in terms of Manchester United and that wage structure. Rabiot isn't going to go on, he's not going to go from Juventus to Manchester United on cheap money. There lies the first problem for me with Rabiot. I don't think he's going to want to come to United for anything less than $250,000 a week. There's rumours that United's new wage structure is between £200,000 to £250,000 a week. Is he going to want more? Is he going to want in excess of $300,000 a week? I'm sure his mum is going to go for that, because let's not forget, as good as being 28 is and being in your prime as a football player at the top level, that also is your last real opportunity of getting that big deal. And that big deal is that big 5-year contract on mega money. And this is where, I mean, they've played it well, Rabiot and his team, haven't they now? 28, just had a decent season with Juventus and hold all the cards. Are United going to be able to go into this and actually make a deal out of it that's going to suit them and that new wage structure? Because you could imagine David De Gea coming back in the summer, Rabiot on 300 grand a week, and he's just been knocked down to 200. Yes, we've all discussed David De Gea and why his wage needs to go down, but he's the longest serving player at the football club right now. Are we making an issue there straight away behind the scenes with a new player coming in, unproven in the Premier League, on bigger wages than some of our longest serving players? Is that the way we're going to go? How do Manchester United implement that new wage structure, or so-called new age wage structure that we're looking to do with Rabiot, who's probably going to be one of the hardest negotiators with his team that you can think of out there right now? And him being on a free, like I said, it's the ideal scenario for him, but not for United in terms of negotiating. You know what United are like. They usually bow down straight away when it comes to wages. If they are going to change and the structure at this football club is going to change and we're not going to be not going to be bent over a barrel with these wage demands from big players, never mind Rabiot, who isn't that big player, we cannot be giving in to players like Rabiot instantly just because there's uncertainty within the ownership and we have to back Ten Hag. We can't fall into the trap of we have to get players through the door just because Ten Hag needs players. I mean, I don't know what Ten Hag's thinking. Ten Hag was talking the other day saying this season, this summer, it's completely different to last summer because players last summer were a bit uncertain of United. It was an uncertain time. They come off the back of the worst Premier League season in Premier League history for the football club, a new manager, not knowing what's going on, the turmoil behind the scenes. And it was difficult in trying to attract players. We did well with getting players that we did and the quality players we did. But this summer, Ten Hag has said the players he has spoken to and the players that the club has already spoken to are actually really interested in Manchester United. They want to come to the football club. Is Rabiot one of them? Has he looked at Rabiot at that age, how he's played, the way he plays? He's a decent player. Let's not kid ourselves. He is good. He did all right for France in the World Cup, and he's had a very good. He's probably his best season for Juve. Now you can obviously ask the question: would he have played as many games if Paul Pogba was fit? There's a question. Paul Pogba going off injured again, having just come back from injury yesterday. That's worth noting. As much as we probably don't like Paul Pogba and his antics and how it all ended, you probably don't want to wish that ill health on any football player, so hopefully he recovers in time. Unfortunate, I've never known anyone be this bad with injuries, and United probably dodged a big bullet in that one there with Pogba and getting rid of him last summer. Juventus had no idea what they were getting themselves in for. I mean, Juventus in general, turmoil and everything that's gone off the pitch this season. Rabiot won his last year, he's probably just gone, I need to really knuckle down and make something of this, and this is probably my opportunity right now with the way Juventus are and everything that's going on to step up. And then in the summer, I hold all the cards. Like I just said then, it literally is perfect for Adrien Rabiot right now and his representatives to go out to anyone. Juventus have offered him a new deal. That's what Romano was talking about in that tweet. And he's looking at that. I'm guessing he's probably weighing up his options there. Is there a future? Does he want to go and test his mettle in the Premier League? According to the sources within that, like Romano said, he does want to play. It's his dream to play in the Premier League. Why wouldn't you? It is the best league in the world, and at that age right now, you could probably, it's the right time to go, I would say. You're not going to get any better than what you are right now. Let's go and test our mettle in the best league in the world. I just want to go through a few of your comments, actually. I'll just pause it. I like to do this. I like to pause on a certain page in the live comments and just see where we're at. There's a lot to get through, but I just like to go through it. Yeah, Pogba has had a really bad injury after bad injury coming. Nobody minds being back up at Manchester City, apparently. That's probably talking about the depth in squad and actually players. And I can see the chat going through now with you guys actually talking about where Rabiot would fit in. Would he be a first-team player? Would he come straight into that team? Is he better than what we've already got in that midfield three if everyone's fit? These are questions, and I can see them all being politely debated. I will say that in the comment section. You guys are on form this morning, I can see. Let me just see through here. Rabiot is better than Pogba. There's a shout. I see that. 300 a week for Rabiot. What the F? This club continue to embarrass themselves. Now, that was just me, Jamie. That wasn't the club coming out with that. But you can see something like that happening with Manchester United. You know what I mean? It's like we have always, like I said, always bowed down to players and their demands for wages. We've always drived a hard bargain and not paying transfer fees. But when it comes to wages, Manchester United is a dream. I mean, it wasn't long ago that Rio Ferdinand was talking to the man Vidic, talking about his wages, and Vidic made the comment, the only regret I've got is I wasn't around when Ed Woodward was in charge at Manchester United. That name alone sends shivers down every United fan's back. But as a player, Manchester United under Woodward, they just give the world to players, didn't they? Everything that they wanted, incentives, actual wages. And it was no wonder we were paying more money out for player wages than any other club in the Premier League at the time, because we was playing stupid money for very average players. And that is where United are trying to change right now, and where I see an issue with the Rabiot sale going through. As you can see there at the bottom of your team, the keeper also running this story with Rabiot. Manchester United are pushing to sign Rabiot at the end of his contract this summer. It's everywhere this morning. It is the main story in terms of what's going on transfer-wise with Manchester United, and I can see it just in the chat that it's not seen as the news that you want to see, and it leads into sort of worries about what actually is going on at Manchester United right now. Super chats come in. Greetings, Adam. Financial fair play will restrict us from buying a world-class striker and central midfielder. I think Rabiot is an upgrade on Eriksen and Sabitzer, and Erik ten Hag seems to want him. Shouldn't we go for him? That's the question. That's what I was asking before. I mean, and I said, it'd be interesting. There's well over 3,000 votes in the poll right now. I'm just going to go to that in a minute. But if Ten Hag wants him, do we back a manager that's turned this club around? It's all our opinions, and we're allowed to voice our opinions. But one thing that has been a stonewall with most of the Manchester United fan base this season, that the biggest upgrade that we've had is the manager. He's took us to 2 cup finals. We've already got 1 in the bag in terms of a trophy. Obviously, the Manchester Derby FA Cup final is coming up at the end of this month. We look like we're getting top 4, solidifying that, and he's turned this club around. And every single signing that he has made has contributed to the turnaround in the culture and the performances on the pitch this season. So should we back Erik ten Hag and say Rabiot is the player for us if Ten Hag actually wants this player? And if it's a free, and it's like the super chat says there, like JP says, is Rabiot an upgrade on Sabitzer and on Eriksen? That's the question. Is he a bit of both of them players? Where's his best position? That's what it is. I mean, the poll right now, just coming up to 3,500 votes, 33% are saying Sabitzer, 22% Rabiot, and this is where I thought it might go. It's underwhelming for a lot of the United fan base. Neither has got 45%, so 45% of the vote out of well over 3,500 on this chat alone are saying neither Rabiot or Sabitzer for Manchester United. They want bigger fish. Who are them bigger fish? That is the question. Who else is out there? If Manchester United's hands are tied and we're not willing to go over that threshold of paying over the top money for players, and by that I mean the likes of Caicedo is going to fetch mega money. We're going to look at Declan Rice. If we're going to beat our competitors to Declan Rice, we're going to have to pay over the top. And I know a lot of people are saying De Jong, like a comment said in the live chat there, De Jong wants to stay at Barcelona. I think that deal is off. I think we can put aside De Jong and Bellingham. So the big guns, the best that there is out there, are not available. I see people saying Gravenberch there. That has been reported as well this morning, that Manchester United are competing with Liverpool for that signing as well. But again, I think when we bought Casemiro last summer, I think that was like the signing that we desperately needed. That was like an encouraging signing for Manchester United fans, because it was a player that we've been crying out for, the best in class in that role for so many years. I think that is the only way, and it's been a big part of why Manchester United have succeeded this season. Because you buy a player best in class in that position, that only plays in that position, then you're going to get the best results. And that's what has contributed massively to the upturn in form and the culture at this football club. Casemiro is a man on and off the pitch. That type of signing turns fortunes in football teams and football clubs around completely. That's what that signing does. Is there any of them signings out this summer? Is there any out there that we know we can get? Rabiot isn't that signing for me. He isn't. He is in the ilk of an Eriksen, a Sabitzer. And personally, I think he's probably, if you brought in Rabiot right now, I think he does push for a start personally. I think he's pushing Eriksen for that position. I think he's more of an 8-style midfielder. So would that mean Bruno then plays further forward again? I would say Eriksen would be the one under threat in terms of that midfield. So you'd have Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes and Rabiot a midfield to move forward with the likes of Eriksen being a squad player. Is that the quality of squad player we need? Let's not forget, obviously, Rabiot, and in these negotiations, I go back to that again, he's going to want to start. He's coming to the Premier League at this stage of his career, he wants to start. Is he going to accept that he isn't going to start every single game? Because this is a big club that he's coming to. And at Manchester United, every player, and I said this the other day, I think I tweeted it out, written into every single Manchester United player's contract, new players coming in, needs to be a clause, or not so much a clause, but it needs to be written in stone that you are playing for Manchester United and your first team place is never guaranteed. Can the modern day footballer accept that? Can someone like Rabiot coming in now, having probably had his best season in a long time at Juventus, is he going to accept that in the way that he negotiates? I don't think he would. I don't necessarily think Rabiot is the signing of the summer for United in midfield. If we bought Rabiot, it's great. But we still need another midfielder on top of that, someone better. And in that case, Rabiot isn't a guaranteed starter at Manchester United. Will he accept that? Will he accept them terms when negotiating his contract? That's the problem I see with him. That's where the issues lie. Let's check out where our poll is at. Yep, still holding strong as it was. 44%, almost half of the vote. Well over 4,000 votes. Cheers for all your votes, people, as well. I reckon that there says everything. It's underwhelming in terms of Rabiot signing. United fans want more. I'm thinking most of the United fan base are thinking this summer, if United were going for a midfielder or a striker, it has to be of the ilk of the Casemiro signing, like I said. Someone that big. A master of one trade, not a jack of all. We need a player that's going to go into the team and you know exactly where that player is going to play. The Casemiro. He doesn't play anywhere else on the pitch because he's that good at that role. That's the type of signing Manchester United need this summer in certain positions. The number 9 has to be a player that's going to stay there. Not like Martial did at weekend, and he was brilliant to get his goal. But Manchester United have no focal point up front. We don't have that player that stays in that one position. It's chop and change. Martial drops off, he comes wide, he goes deep. We need a number 9 that's going to stay there. You cannot structure attacks, and it's like I say, it's like when you grow partnerships and when you grow like that camaraderie and you know where your teammates are going all the time. Look at Son and Kane. Kane just has to hit a ball into an area without even looking. He knows Son's going to be there. Vice versa, the other way, Son to Kane. We haven't got that in any part of our pitch and our build-up play, our attack, our midfield. We haven't got that with anyone. The closest we've got is, I would say, Bruno and Rashford. And them numbers have been proven this season because them two combined have created more chances than any other partnership in the Premier League. I think it was, as a combination, I think they were at 36, 37. So that's more than the likes of, I think it was Odegaard and Xhaka. It's teams that have been doing crazy numbers this season. Manchester United's Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes are up there with the best. Manchester United's creation this season from midfield has been up there just behind Liverpool and Manchester City in terms of chances created. We just can't put the ball in the back of the net. That leads to me thinking we need that number 9, that right signing that is just going to be there, not anywhere else. And that goes for this signing in midfield as well. Let's get through a few more of your comments in here. Paulinho or Caicedo. Paulinho is a very good shout, a very good player. Will you be able to prize him away from Fulham for a certain price? Where would you play him? Who's he coming for? Again, he isn't that player that's going to say, I'm taking Casemiro's spot or Bruno's spot. There is a spot in this team, but I think it's on Eriksen's. I feel like that is the midfielder. Maybe we can bring in a younger holding prospect midfielder for Casemiro as he sort of phases out. It all depends where Ten Hag is going with his signing. If he likes Rabiot, he doesn't think he can get the midfielder he needs this summer, would you accept Rabiot if we got the best in class as a number 9? That's where we're at with it. That is where we're at. But said the big thing about this, and what the poll has told me there, is the uncertainty and the underwhelming aspect of Rabiot coming into the football club, leading me on to obviously the talk about the ownership and the possible takeover. I mean, we've seen what happened over the weekend and the news and the reports. Saudi sports media journalist Nawaf on Twitter was talking about Sheikh Jassim coming in with another bid, which is going to blow everyone out of the water. He met with the Rain Group at their offices, and they came out of it in positive mood. The Qataris and Sheikh Jassim's group and party. There was positivity in the air, but again, it comes back down to the fact that nobody knows what the hell is going on with Manchester United right now. Talks of Rabiot coming in as like mate weights on free transfers kind of makes everyone think that nothing is anywhere near being sorted yet. I think it was Miguel Delaney who said at weekend that this saga, this takeover talk, no one is going to be in place before the summer, before the transfer window opens. So United are operating on the complete unknown. We've got we've got people doing jobs like Arnold and Myrtle that we don't even know if they're going to have their jobs if a certain ownership model came in. We don't know if everything's going to change. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in and changes all the staff, puts in his own structure, which is rumoured to be, then the people that are doing business right now for United and negotiating might not actually be in power by the time the deals are needing to be finished and drawn up and written and signed and done and brought over the line. It's a weird scenario, and I can feel it within the comments, and I can feel it in a lot of people who I speak to outside of Old Trafford, because I've been listening to a few other podcasts and people saying, like, the so-called people of Manchester-based and talking to real hardcore Manchester United fans. I mean, from where I am, I'm a Manchester lad. I talk to a lot of people who've had season tickets for a very, very long time. And you ask them, and I was speaking to some outside Old Trafford before the game against Wolves at weekend as well, and you ask them what they think of Manchester United and the ownership and where they want to go with it. And right now, honestly, I've not heard of one person who is actually pro Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Everyone I'm talking to regarding this ownership model right now, after what's happened and the rumour that the Glazers will still be at the football club in any sort of, if any way, shape or form, even if it's just a small shareholding with no power, and if that's involved in Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid, no, that's it. They just don't want anything to do with the Glazers, completely out. So the word down on at Old Trafford before games at the moment, within the fan base and the match-going fans that I have spoken to, it's all of Manchester United going forward. It needs to be the Qatar bid. It's the cleanest bid, football-wise, money-wise, and moving forward, we can see exactly what the plan is. With Sir Jim Ratcliffe, it's up in the air. We don't know what's happening. I mean, we have no say, effectively, in the end. We can only cross our fingers and hope that it's what we see in our eyes as the right move for Manchester United going forward. But the powers that be and the mega players in this move are obviously doing what they can right now, and fans will always come second. And it's all right, people like Gary Neville saying you can't ignore the fans have a voice. Well, no, you can't ignore the fans, but ultimately, when it comes down to making major decisions, we count for nothing. We count for nothing in this football world. We pay our money, we pay our contribution to the club, which goes towards everything, the financing-wise and everything revenue-wise, but that's it. We can protest, we can do what we want, we can come together as a fan base and cause as much, I wouldn't say uncertainty or problems or friction or anything like that. It's the case of Manchester United making their and the fan base making their voices heard in the only way that we can, and that has been what has happened this season. And you know, it has been noted. The club have made certain changes. I mean, I walked into Old Trafford on Saturday for the Wolves game, and I'm sat there and I'm like, got no signal again, and then all of a sudden, person next to me says, "Why don't you try the Wi-Fi?" I'm like, shut up, United Wi-Fi. Anyway, flicked on it. It says, no, look, there it is, Old Trafford Wi-Fi. I've been going to Manchester United, going on 2 decades, and I've never seen anything like it. I cannot believe it. Manchester United have Wi-Fi inside the stadium. I was able to upload an Instagram story for the first time in my whole life at Old Trafford because there was Wi-Fi. We're moving forward, people. We're making the right changes. Honestly, that was like the highlight of the day, actually having a bit of Wi-Fi. And Garnacho's goal, obviously, of course. But yeah, everyone around's like, what? There's Wi-Fi? There's Wi-Fi at Old Trafford? Yeah, there actually is now. It's crazy. But yeah, Super Chat from Dan the Man 1986 says, I don't agree with Rabiot because it stinks of cheap desperation. Do you think Rabiot is an option if we get a Qatar bid? I don't think so. It's a fair point. It's gonna. I can see the laughing emojis about the Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's like breaking news. Manchester United have Wi-Fi on match days. Wow, who'd have thought? That was honestly, like, you should have seen my face when that came through. I was like, I can actually do a little bit more work. Wow, crazy. But yeah, what's the name? Going forward in terms of what that comment just said there, the super chat, it's a good point because if the Qataris come in, does that change anything? Obviously, financial fair play is going to hamper us no matter what and whoever takes over Manchester United. But as the targets change, it's been rumoured that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants full power over transfers if he comes in. Now, how does that mean? Does it mean that he has to have final say on what Ten Hag wants? Or is he putting a structure in place? Because he's already talked about Paul Mitchell coming in as a director of football. Is this where Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going? Is this where he's going with his bid? He's putting Manchester United in the modern era. He's bringing United forward in the way that football clubs should be run. Because full power to me sounds like he's the one who decides who comes through the door. Is Ten Hag then just dealing with what director of football works with? There's a lot of discussions that need to be had in terms of how this club is structured when the new ownership comes in. I think that's probably one of the major ones, how that new ownership works with Erik Ten Hag, because he's the only reason that Manchester United are going to be able to bring in that extra revenue next season because of being in the Champions League. Obviously, touch wood, that still happens, but I think it will. That extra money coming in from the Champions League, does that help them bring in sponsorships and a new shirt deal for Manchester United, which we're looking for? Yes, of course it does, because United are now obviously dining at the top table of football again in the Champions League. That's because of Ten Hag. So the reason that it's looking a bit more of a positive prospect for any buyer coming in financially and revenue-wise is because Ten Hag has changed everything at this football club. He got rid of Ronaldo. He put Harry Maguire back down to the bench. The first manager to do that. He dealt with an awful lot this season and still managed to progress with Manchester United. I mean, we've seen the records. His first season, he's got the record amount of wins, 38, than any other manager at Manchester United. That could become more. Obviously, we've still got 4 more games with the FA Cup final this season. I think, obviously, you have to look at that and go, that is a worry with what Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been saying there. If that's the case, obviously, it's just been reported. But if Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants full control, we need to know exactly what full control means. And it's like I was saying to people outside Old Trafford, talking about Sir Jim's bid, it was a case of like, he's going to have to pull off the best press conference ever to try and convince Manchester United fans that he is the right man to take United forward. He's going to have to answer questions regarding the Glazers and what they are. Are they going to then be fizzled out over time, like it's reported? Within 2 years, them shares would be bought up and the Glazers would be gone. He's going to be talking about how he moves that structure in with Ten Hag. Does he bring in the director of football? Do the people at the club still have their job? He has got one monumental job on his hands, especially in that first press conference. He's going to have to put on full PR mode there to try and turn things around. It's going to be one hell of a sell to United fans to convince a lot of people now. Because if the Glazers are in any way, shape or form, even if they've got no power, and it's all right people like Simon Jordan on TalkSport saying, well, is it not better just having the Glazers there and them having no power and Sir Jim coming in? Well, yeah, it's all right saying that, but there's Manchester United fans, and it only counts for fans of this football club and how they feel. That will not go with that at all. I spoke to a few of them. You've seen Nuruddin, he's had his view on that on fan vlogs and on shows with me here in the studio. It does not matter to a massive majority of Manchester United fans. Obviously, mainly match-going fans, I would say, because they're the only ones we've really had a chance to talk to. It's people who obviously leave their comments and let me know, everybody. We did a poll on this. Is it better just having the Glazers in charge or Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers? Is it better the devil you know? I put that poll up and a lot of people went with just keeping the Glazers and then hopefully someone else coming in and buying them another year or two down the line. I mean, that's where it got to. That's how people are seeing Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid and they're worried in the future that will bring. So you've got to look at that and go, I can understand the unrest within the fan base. I can understand the fear of a Rabiot signing because it's very Glazer-nomical. I mean, the brass, just watching Adrien Glazer walk into Wembley yesterday, it's, oh, God, it knocks you sick. It really knocks you sick, just seeing him walk through there. But what it does also show is the fact that he does love owning Manchester United. He loves that little chip, that little bragging right that he has got one of the biggest sports franchises in the business world in his name. You can see it in them. You can see that power. That's what Manchester United is. That it gives you power. For them to actually talk to other business people and actually be the owners of such a massive, massive sports franchise like Manchester United, probably the biggest, and this deal will prove that in being a record sale for a sports franchise. They love that. That's what they are all about, the power, the greed, the actually being top dogs. That's what it's about to them. And you can see that way. He just rolls up, walks into Wembley, ignores everyone, doesn't want to talk to anyone about anything. He doesn't have to, obviously, but you know what I mean? All it is to them is just that trophy. The trophy is Manchester United, and they just want to play around with it as they please. And again, I'll mention it now. I'm going to go into more detail on that because we have got a special guest coming in tomorrow on Adam Talks at 2 p.m. So do tune in to that show tomorrow. There's going to be a lot on the ownership and where we're up to from someone who knows an awful lot more, put it that way. So yeah, do tune into that tomorrow. But yeah, that's basically where we are with that. Moving on, I want to talk about other things. We're going to get into some football matters and obviously a little bit more positive. Positivity in certain players' performances could be the end of certain other players is what I want to get at, and I want to get your opinions on this. I'm just going to finish up this poll actually first of all, quickly before we move on. Well over 6,000 votes. Wow, amazing. Sabitzer, Rabiot or neither? Neither wins the day with 43%, followed by Sabitzer 34%, and the rest go to Rabiot. According to the United Stand live viewers and that live section right now, that is underwhelming signing, and Rabiot is definitely not what they want. Some people do, and they can see the positive in it, but the majority are gone with not good enough. Simple as. Cheers for getting involved in that little poll, guys. There's going to be another one coming up in a minute, but yeah, talking about performances, obviously Garnacho came back at weekend, absolutely outstanding again. Composure beyond his years, and the fact that that was his first performance back after signing that new 5-year deal, it just added that extra bit. And the noise in Old Trafford when that goal went in. There have been some great atmospheres at Old Trafford this season, but a goal in injury time in a game against Wolves, who've not had a shot on target all game and were never ever threatening, and 1-0 would have been enough. For the noise for an injury time goal like that, you'd usually just get a bit of a relief cheer, like thank God that's done. But wow, for such an atmosphere, for a player to bring that atmosphere at a young age, and the buzz. I mean, I think the cheer for Garnacho coming on off the bench was bigger than Martial's goal being celebrated. That's what the atmosphere was like in Old Trafford at weekend. That shows you how important this player is to Manchester United and the fans, and the connection he's got with the fans right now. And you listen to what Bruno was saying regarding that. There's some actual quotes that Bruno was, I'm going to bring them up in a minute actually, but Bruno Fernandes has been talking about how he echoed Eric Ten Hag's words, because Bruno Fernandes was talking and was probably brought up on it a little bit about being overcritical on Garnacho, but he's come back and said again, he was just echoing what the manager said. Those were the manager's words. He wasn't doing enough, I wasn't doing the right things, but he's learnt from that. He's spending more time in the gym with the trainers, he's working on his game, and he understands what it is to be a professional footballer. That's what's come out of Bruno's mouth. A man who prides himself on football matters alone and giving everything to the cause. When you've got praise coming from Ten Hag and Bruno Fernandes, and you've seen the hug that Ten Hag gave Alejandro Garnacho at the end of that game there, it was just so, it was like pride running through, and you could feel it. It felt like that within the fan base. It felt like that was a moment there. It was like he's signed that 5-year deal, he's come on the pitch, he's put that game to bed and helped us like he has done all season in getting to the position where we are, and showed how much we have really missed him this season. Because one chance, one goal. Their keeper was having an absolute stormer of a game. Man of the match again. Another keeper making a debut, like it was against Brighton when Steele came in. Their keeper came in again for Wolves and played his socks off. Absolutely brilliant. And then Garnacho comes on, has that one moment. Have you got the composure? Sends the defender the wrong way with a dummy, puts it in the corner, puts the game to bed. Old Trafford's roof comes off. Absolutely brilliant. You've got that, and then you've got him then going instantly onto Instagram after the game. Well, Ahmad is playing for Sunderland, absolutely tearing it up and scoring another absolute stormer. He's 14th of the season for Ahmad as well. And praising him about what a player he is. And you know that Ahmad is coming back in the summer as well. And it just adds to that sort of upbeat mood about Manchester United. I know there's the doom and gloom of the ownership and the takeover and everything like that, but I do want to bring in the positive side of what's going on at the football club right now. And we were all scratching our heads when Ahmad was bought for 30 million, was it? And we're like, could that 30 million have gone towards a bigger name, like I was discussing at the start of this show? Would it have been better spending it on a player that actually is going to impact the team right now, rather than sit on the fringes, go out on loan? Pellistri was of that ilk as well. We're spending money, and a lot of money, that could have gone on a bigger player on potential. But now, that potential could be coming to fruition. You've got Garnacho at his age pretty much nailing down a first team spot right now. Ahmad is going to come in and just go, and you listen to everyone who's watched Ahmad in the Championship this season. I think it was Gary Lineker who said it as well. He was talking about it the other day, about how talented Ahmad is. He's absolutely adored in Sunderland. And I listened to I think it was Graham Courtney on TalkSport was saying Sunderland would not be in this position now going into the second leg of a playoff in the Championship to get into the Premier League, to go to the final and get to the Premier League, if it wasn't for Ahmad. They would be nowhere without this man this year. And that's another young prospect at Manchester United. Coming in to that squad on an upbeat season from United, perfect. Because let's not forget, Ahmad came into Manchester United when we were in the middle of an Ollie Woodward sort of merry-go-round, when everything and all decisions looked like it was just like pot luck. Let's just throw an idea in the air and let's hope that it works. That's when Ahmad came into Manchester United. Now he's coming into a team off the back of performing well. First trophy in 6 years under Ten Hag, 2 finals, hopefully in the Champions League. Ahmad's coming into that. With a young player like Garnacho breaking through the youth team, Kobe Mainoo getting game time, he's coming back to that now under new management going, wow, there is chance and there is potential to get into this Manchester United team. This manager gives players a chance. On the other side of that, Jadon Sancho and how and what that means for him now. Because I'm going to ask it right now. I mean, if, for instance, worst case scenario comes about, let's say, we don't manage to get our target this summer, Rashford goes in at number 9. Would you rather see Ahmad and Garnacho either side of Rashford? Or would you rather see the Antony and Jadon Sancho, the big signings? So there, actually, I'll put it up in a poll right now. Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad to start the season. Rashford, Sancho, and Antony, just to see where you're at in terms of how you think these players are playing right now, and obviously how you feel about the potential of actually Manchester United moving forward in a different direction. I mean, yes, Ahmad has to adapt to the Premier League, and some would say it's unfair to sort of compare him. But, I mean, mix it up. Do you want to put Antony in with Garnacho and Ahmad on the bench ahead of Sancho? Honestly, I would look at it. Worst case scenario, obviously, we didn't get that number 9. Because if we did get that number 9, Marcus Rashford obviously goes out to the left-hand side. Or does Garnacho challenge Rashford on the left-hand side? I've actually made it a little bit more complicated than what it should be for a poll. That's just me going on with myself there. Sorry about that. But I can see in the comments section already, I cannot vote for that. Sancho is not good enough, Adam. No way Sancho on loan. See you later. He's better than Fred McTominay and Sabitzer. I think they probably transfer, talking about Rabiot, sorry, off that. Rashford, Garnacho, Antony. Ahmad not ready. That's one opinion. Yep. Is Sancho ready? I'll counter that. Yeah, I'll counter that. I'll counter Ahmad not being ready with, is Sancho doing enough then? Everyone deserves a chance in the team. You don't know until you play them, do you not? Everyone has to start somewhere. Did everyone think that Garnacho was ready at the start of this season? I've put a little poll up, 2 options there. You've got the mixed up, new age, go forward, let's change this up and see if youth and hunger can progress. Or would you rather the old guard, Sancho, Rashford, Antony, be the one? That's just a little tester. I mean, it's difficult to vote on that, I know, because there are other options there as well, but there's like 2 ends of the scale. You've got the academy forward line there. I know what Ahmad was brought in, but Garnacho, Rashford, Ahmad, young players all brought through. And then you've got Sancho, Rashford and Antony. Big money signings in Sancho and Antony. Would you rather see some of the younger players given a chance? Have you seen enough out of the likes of Sancho and Antony? Antony, for me, I think there is massive potential in Antony. And no matter what you think about Antony, I said this in my vlog after the game, you think his decision-making is bad, you think he doesn't, he's got a one-trick pony like a lot of people say, he's involved in everything. Everything good, everything bad, he's involved in everything. He does not stop, and he isn't put off by underperforming. I think Sancho's running a little bit scared at the moment. That's my opinion on Jadon Sancho. He's not taking risks, he's not taking chances for me. He's having moments here and there, and one of them moments could have been a goal, but for the keeper making a brilliant save in the second half. Would it have been different if Antony had played Sancho through when he was clear and Antony made the wrong decision? Am I being too harsh on Jadon Sancho, or is he under threat? Is he actually under threat now? Because you look at that, if Manchester United sign the number 9, Ahmad comes back, Garnacho's in form, Antony's playing better than Sancho, where is Sancho in the pecking order? Where is Sancho? I mean, it's very similar to the Harry Maguire scenario. Big money spent on a player who is now 5th choice. That's what Ten Hag has done at Manchester United. He's forgot about the price tags. He's forgot about the stature, the ego, if he's captain or not, what his history is, and he's gone with what's best for Manchester United and the team. That's basically where he's gone. 66% of you are actually voting with Garnacho, Rashford, Ahmad at the moment. Where is Sancho in the pecking order? That's what I want to know. How many games does he start next season if Ahmad comes into that matchday squad? We are going to buy a number 9. We should buy a number. I say that. United have to buy a number 9. So that moves Rashford out to the left-hand side. So on the left, you've got Rashford and Garnacho fighting position. On the right, you'll have Ahmad and Antony fighting for position. Where the hell does Jadon Sancho fit into that? That's the question I'm posing right now. I'm not saying Jadon Sancho isn't good enough for Manchester United. He is good enough for Manchester United. But is his head and his mentality good enough for Manchester United? It's the same with Martial. Martial's the same. I mean, how long do we keep looking at the potential of these players and how good they are before we make a cutthroat decision, before we make a next level Pep Guardiola taking City to that level decision. Because that's where United are right now, and that's the pressure that's on Ten Hag right now, because a successful season next season has to be better than this. What is it? Challenging for the title. Are these players that we've seen this season, mainly in this team, good enough to challenge for a title? Well, it's been proven no, it's not. Some probably are, but as a mix and an overall, it's not good enough, because we are where we should be, between third and fifth. That's where this squad of players is. There are players that are capable of going to that next level that are in this team right now. We need to add to that, and I think this is where the big decisions, and why this summer is so big, and why it's a bit of a concern for me personally that the ownership model not being put in place yet, or whoever's going to be the new owner of Manchester United come the start of next season is nowhere near being decided yet. That's the problem for me, and that's what all of this brings. I feel like Ten Hag is the most important man at Manchester United right now, and everything needs to be worked around him and what works best for him. We can already, just simple little things like Erik Ten Hag came in last summer and he was thrown into the Manchester United tour, which was already organised. Straight away this season you can see subtle changes in terms of Ten Hag not going to Old Trafford to do the press conferences for European games. He's making everyone go to Carrington, and already the tour looks like it's a Ten Hag tour this summer. It's a whirlwind, quick fire, get back and get prepared for the season tour, not a long drawn out PR tour. It doesn't look like that. It looks like Ten Hag has had a say, and you can see the influence of him in the way that this football club is being run right now. I feel like we need to give him all the tools that he needs to take United forward. Pep Guardiola has already been out and said that Ten Hag needs to make a major decision if he wants to take Manchester United forward this season, and that was regarding David De Gea. He did it with Joe Hart. The City fans couldn't believe the players that were going and leaving Manchester City at the time. He got rid of the whole back four and the goalkeeper and changed everything up. No one's complaining now, are they? No, they're not. To get to the top level, you have to make cutthroat decisions. And this, I feel, is what is needed this summer. There is another poll up there. Keep or sell Jadon Sancho. That wasn't my idea, everyone. Someone else brought that up. But it is interesting to see where you're at with it, though. 55% already saying Jadon Sancho needs to be sold. Oh, I'm just going to go through a few more. Liverpool bought Nunez and gave him 100k per week. If he had come to Manchester United, he will be on 300k a week. That's the structure and that's the culture, and that's a good comment from Rocky there actually in the chat that says brought that up. That's the culture. That's the new structure that needs to be in at Manchester United. 100%. There needs to be a benchmark. There needs to be this is how it is. Take it or leave it. Even Manchester City, to a certain degree, have got that little cap in where they don't go crazy with money. Obviously, you'll have incentives on that, performance incentives and stuff like that, and you can sort of fluff up the deal as best you can. But Manchester United have just gone, you just have to be average and wear that Man United shirt and we'll give you the world. That was the Ed Woodward philosophy at Manchester United. Players on absolutely mental money. I mean, I did a show, I think I broke it down, it was a while ago, early on in the season, that there was, I think, 5 or 6 players on Manchester United's books right now that weren't contributing to anyone on loan or anything to Manchester United, that were costing the club near £400,000 a week in wages. And they've contributed nothing, not even to another club on loan. They're just at the club, earning that money, combined between them, costing the club £400,000 a week, doing nothing. And by that I mean, not like they're not training, but what they're offering us on the pitch, where it matters, where we're supposed to be balancing the books and actually earning money. That's what it's all about. And that's where the structure of Manchester United, and that's where that comment from Rocky there in terms of what Liverpool did and how they're structured. The fact that at one point this season, Anthony Martial was on double the money that Mo Salah was on before he signed. No, I think it was last season. Sorry, I said that one. That was a case at one point that Anthony Martial was on double the money that Mo Salah was on. That's how That's the difference. That's the night and day in terms of how Manchester United was run under Ed Woodward and how the club are, to their credit, trying to move forward and change things up. Because there are little subtle changes that are happening within Manchester United that we have to sort of say, yeah, that's better, that's moving forward. It's the overwhelming fact that the Glazers are still in charge, that no one can see any good out of Manchester United right now, and the visions are blurred with how we move forward, and no good will come of Manchester United, even though we have done some good things behind the scenes. But that's just where it is. Let me just go through a few more of your comments. People still going in on the Rabiot one, talking about wages and structure again. His mum will demand we pay him something stupid like 400k a week. He also has a history of attitude issues. It's why he got dropped from PSG. That's on, obviously, Rabiot again. Sell Sancho and Maguire to Napoli for Osimhen. Oh, if everyone was if everything could be worked around like FIFA, yeah. Doesn't quite work like FIFA in the real world, does it? Casemiro, Neves, Bruno. I think Neves has been earmarked for Barcelona. I heard that being talked about. Neves, another one. It's just always there, but United have never gone for. Makes you wonder why, doesn't it? Wage structures is a problem for Manchester United, 100%. Katami up, hope for revenge window in January. The summer is already messed up. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying in terms of how everything going on behind the scenes right now. People are putting 2 and 2 together with United, looking at the likes of Rabiot for free, trying to find these sort of next level down signings rather than the big signings that we really should be going for. I think that's the worry within the fan base right now. But it's down to, I mean, who's it down to? It's down to the Glazers again. I hate to say that because that means it's just going to drag on. But the Rain Group running everything. Obviously, we know when we spoke about them meeting the Qataris again at weekend and sitting down with them. The media have been pushing out the fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is now front runner for Manchester United. Going into this week, what will come next? I'm sure another twist in the tail. I'm sure it will be around the deal getting closer. Possibly the Qataris bringing in another bid. I mean, if the Qataris come in with a certain amount of money and then Manchester United reject that or the Glazers reject that, you're kind of thinking like there is a worry behind the scenes that they're trying to negotiate something else. Because if it was just about money, then you would go for the highest bid. But it seems to be a structure in how the Glazers are actually working this deal out, that they want something more from it. I think that's the untold story in all of this that everyone is worrying about right now, that all Manchester United fans are thinking, what is it? Are they actually going? Where are we going with this? There will be loads more on that and in more depth tomorrow at 2 p.m. on Adam Talks. Special guest coming in, which is going to shed a lot more light on how this takeover is going right now. We'll go in depth on that tomorrow at 2 p.m. Obviously, here on United Stand, we'll bring everything else that's coming, that's breaking this week. There will be a lot. There is some special content coming up on the United Stand as well, so stay tuned for that. And obviously, we're closing in on Bournemouth at weekend, so build up to that as well. But yeah, stay tuned for everything. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button so you are notified as soon as them breaking videos come. And give us a like and drop your comments in below when this video goes up on YouTube later. That's it from me for now. Have a good rest of the week, people. I'll see you in some form on socials or on YouTube again before the end of the week, no doubt. But yeah, have a good one, people, and stay tuned. There's plenty more to come.